Hi, my name is Mary. Today FM plays the best music in Lambasa. Today FM rocks.
My name is Thomas. I'm here in Nakasi and I like to listen to Today FM because it rocks.
My name is Milenia. Today FM rocks here in Singapour.
My name is Alfriki and Today FM rocks here in Tavua.
My name is Mary Jane. I love listening to Today FM here in Ba. Today FM rocks.
My name is Ilaiti Ambal and I love listening to Today FM. Today FM rocks here in Osur.
Today's hit music on Today FM.
In the news tonight, MOG gives Fijian elections thumbs up. Specially trained officers for drugs investigation. And names of rogue traders made public.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spade.
The Multinational Observer Group today released its report on the 2018 general election, calling it well administered with voting and counting transparency and credible. The MOG has made 21 recommendations to assist the Fijian Elections Office in a constructive spirit to build on the achievements of this election. It says that if implemented, these recommendations will support Fiji in its efforts to further strengthen its electoral system and institutions ahead of the next election in 2022. Kritika Kumar has more.
MOG says that democracy is an ongoing process of learning and building, and in that spirit, the group wants to help Fiji better herself for another great election in 2022. The group noted that the security environment was peaceful and the campaign competitive, adding that conditions overall supported Fijians to exercise their right to vote freely and the outcome broadly represented the will of the voters. Amongst the recommendations, it says the Electoral Commission plays a central role in Fiji's electoral system, and MOG has recommended that it be provided with greater resources to deliver on its mandate more effectively. The Observer Group also recommended that some electoral laws be reviewed to ensure they do not unnecessarily inhibit voter participation in the electoral process, and that the framework best supports voter understanding of the electoral system. It says during the observations, consistent message from voters and other stakeholders during the consultations was that they would like to see party identification in official election material. The MOG agrees that this inclusion would be useful for voters and help make election material clearer to understand. The MOG's report also includes recommendations that cover voter education activities and mechanisms to support civil society playing a greater role in electoral processes. It also proposes a review of the media regulatory framework both during the blackout period, before polling and during the broader electoral cycle. Amongst these, the call to review the provisions in the Political Parties Act regarding restrictions on public officers joining political parties. MOG says there needs to be a guideline for the conduct of ministers and MPs when the government is in caretaker mode. Group co-chair Jane Prentice added that the 2018 election would prove a milestone in Fiji's democratic progression, and the election not only met a high standard in its technical and procedural aspects, it also demonstrated that important democratic norms like transparency and diversity continue to evolve in a positive direction in Fiji. Kritika Kumar, FBC News.
We now join Kritika live. Kritika, what else stood out in the report?
Thanks, Jackie. The MOG also says that in advance of the elections, the FEO conducted extensive voter information and campaign awareness for all those voters in rural areas and young voters to register and vote. It says overall voting proceeded smoothly and efficiently in all three polling modalities, including pre-polling and election day, with FEO staff demonstrating professionalism and diligence. MOG adds the counting and tabulation processes employed by the FEO were well thought out and included checks and quality control measures to ensure the accuracy of the report. The Supervisor of Elections, Mohammed Saneem, acknowledges the report and says that currently they are overgoing the report and the official report, and he confirms that the recommendations will be taken into consideration. Jackie.
The Police Commissioner has deployed specially trained officers to investigate the discovery of a lab used for manufacturing illicit substances in Namaka, Nandi. The lab, which was exposed during a raid on Monday night, contained alleged materials and equipment believed to be used to manufacture illicit drugs. Akusita Thale reports this is a high-risk investigation as it will involve a lot of safety issues.
The police commissioner says the recent discovery proves there are more culprits out there and this should serve as a warning for drug peddlers and their so-called lords.
That's not going to be the first and the last. We are aware that there might be other similar setups around the place, which we are working hard on finding out and breaking up.
He says especially trained officers are well aware of the risks involved when dealing with clandestine labs, and the men in blue are taking no chances to counter the growing drug problem for Fiji and her people.
We have specially trained officers that we have to move in with the right safety equipment to deal with dismantling and safe storage of that. It's a high-risk thing to deal with, and it's first of all for them to make that safe for our officers to continue with investigations and dealing with the issues.
Brigadier General Ngili Hall says investigation is still in its early stage. However, they have a few suspects who have been allegedly operating the lab. The police commissioner adds he will be visiting the site over the next few days. Akusita Tale, FBC News.
Tonight, FBC News is able to reveal the names of 24 traders facing charges arising from alleged unscrupulous business practices. They come from all over the country and were investigated by the Fijian Competition and Consumer Commission. Rachel Nuth with the details.
Big supermarket chains such as Costulus, MH and Shop-N-Save are facing charges arising from alleged unethical practices. The charges involve a number of offences, such as engaging in unconscionable conduct, accepting payments and failing to supply as ordered, deceptive conduct, as well as false and misleading representation. Other areas of concerns are failing to display prices on price control and non-price control goods, overcharging, failing to keep proper records, illegal rent increases, and failing to furnish information. Now, Chief Executive Joel Abraham says on numerous occasions the FCCC has warned traders against such unethical practices. However, he says a handful of unscrupulous retailers in the market continue to take advantage of vulnerable consumers. Abraham says some traders argue that they are unaware of the provisions in the law. He rejects this excuse, adding that ignorance of the law is no defense and that strict enforcement should act as a deterrent in the future. The FCCC reminds shoppers to report any unfair trade practices to them. Rachel Nath, FBC News.
The Housing Authority Board has finalised and sent all the documents regarding the job evaluation exercise payout to the Ministry of Public Enterprise. Now they are awaiting response. Housing Authority Board member Nesbitt Hazelman says this process cannot be done overnight as it requires time to fulfil whatever is required. Savara Tambor reports.
The board has called for the Fiji Bank and Finance Sector Employees Union not to spread lies and misinform people. This is after the union national secretary claims the board not complying with the court orders.
It's not a one-off consultation. Mr. Naidu needs to realize that the housing authority is owned by the government of the day, and there's processes that need to take place.
We don't have any such agreement with them that they have to comply with any approval from anywhere, whether it's the board or the ministry.
About 10 staff walked out of the office last Friday during their lunch break to protest the Housing Authority's non-compliance. However, Hazelman says the board still has time to comply with the orders of the arbitration court.
The chairman of the arbitration court has given parties until the 1st of March, and it's not the 1st of March yet. So I'd suggest Mr. Naidu not to spread malicious liars, because this is not correct. And we are complying with orders, and we've actually sent the documentation to the ministry for final endorsement before the board acts.
FBC News was trying to get a comment from the Ministry of Public Enterprise. However, it remains futile. Sawera Tambua, FBC News.
Still to come, many bus fares under spotlight. And turtle ban takes effect. Details after the break.
Bula, nevang gomal kay leloma, ngongai nakas, on tumakarong ng Bula FM, nambandua na sere.
Hoya ubasit sai sa Ilambasa, ya ndo talita ina warong ng Bula FM namba 2 sere.
Guya do tumeli ako na tao no hinga toka. Talita kina na warong ng Bula FM namba 2 na sere.
Wana tunga ng Bula FM namba 2 na sere namba 1.
Na vengo fane na tao no go singa toka. Kita ndo talita kana Bula FM namba 2 na sere.
Bula FM namba 2 na sere.
The Land Transport Authority is now re-examining the mini bus fare regulations following complaints received of increased fares at different locations around the country. Some minibus operators have increased fares, and the Consumer Council confirms receiving 17 complaints in relation to the increase. Pranita Prakash reports there were 15 complaints from Lautoka, 1 from Suva and 1 from Nausori.
The Eastern Minibus Association, which services Suva-Nausori route, admits that minibus drivers have been charging more since that taxi flagpole increased to $2 few years ago. President Naresh Chand claims there have been no increase in minibus fares in the last 19 years.
We have already given our submission to LTA regarding the fare increase, but they're still working on that. That's what they have said, because I think at this point in time, we deserve $2 fare, because since year 2000 when minibus legalized, since then as of today, there's no increase in fare.
Chand reveals that the LTA regulated minibus fare for Suva-Nausori corridor is $1.50.
They've got a fare given in there, how much we have to charge to a passenger. And this fare is for 24/7. See, there's no night and no day, no day fare, see? It's just like $1.50. I'm talking about Suva-Nausori corridor, see? So in that regard, we have to charge only $1.50. That's a regulated fare.
Transport Minister Chone Sumate says the Land Transport Authority has discussed the matter with the operators.
They're looking back at the regulations, what governs the bus fare increase and so forth for the minibuses. But they had a talk with them also just to tell them that this arbitrarily raising the minibus fares is not a good access. It's not something good for the public. But LTA is going to look at the whole issue to see whether there are regulations and whether there should be some new regulations developed. So that's what we're looking at now.
Meanwhile, the Land Transport Authority is urging the public not to pay the increased minibus fare. The authority confirms minibus fares are regulated, and as such, there is no approach from LTA for any fare increases. Operators can also have their license revoked or suspended if they are found demanding for increased fares. Pranita Prakash, FBC News.
Issues have been raised in the Lao Group regarding the ban on the harvest of sea turtles, which came into effect last month. Minister responsible, Semi Koroila-Visau, says the ban needs to be clarified, as many Fijians don't understand the procedures in place. Kelly Vadala reports.
5 turtle species have been listed on the ban notice, such as the leatherback sea turtle, green sea turtle and loggerhead sea turtle.
There has been issues raised in Laos on the allocation or the allowed time from November to April every year, because that is turtle nesting period. The clarification that they needed was how they is it was an open policy for them to harvest turtle, but then we explained to them the normal procedures that they apply.
The ministry's acting principal research officer says the ban is to ensure the conservation and protection of endangered turtle species.
We do have cases of poaching, illegal harvest. Even though we have seen over the last ban period, we have seen a recovery in the population, but it is still too early to lift the ban to allow us to go back to the unsustainable way of harvesting them.
It is only allowed for certain occasions, for Fijian traditional obligations that are normally held for customs and traditional ceremonies.
Individuals caught breaking the ban can face an instant fine of $10,000 with a potential penalty of up to $50,000. For corporations, an instant fine of $20,000 with the potential to rise to $100,000. Kelly Vadala, FBC News.
Today marks the 3rd year since Tropical Cyclone Winston hit Fiji, leaving behind a trail of disaster and 44 dead. Entire communities were destroyed, homes severely damaged, and thousands were left with only the clothes on their backs. Across Taveuni, 722 homes were destroyed and 837 damaged. Eleanor Tarangaivu recently visited 2 villages on the island that are recovering from the ordeal and are continuing life as normal.
20th February 2016. This was Navakawao village on the southern tip of Taveuni after it was ravaged by tropical cyclone Winston. 20th February 2019, this is what it looks like.
58 homes were destroyed and 40 partially damaged. There are now only 8 families left to be housed.
On the northern tip lies Lavena village. This was the destruction caused by TC Winston. This is the village now.
1 year, 6 months. That's how long it took us to rebuild all the homes.
The supply of building materials to the island was not coming through, so villagers banded together and rebuilt homes one by one, but much stronger.
We have requested the villagers to construct their homes in a way that they will not have to evacuate to another home when a cyclone strikes.
It's been examined, and we can testify today that Lavena can now withstand the same intensity of winds like TC Winston.
Apart from homes being rebuilt, the food stock is back, and so is the cover stock. Category 5 TC Winston caused $11.2 million worth of damage on the island. Eleanor Tarangaivu, FBC News.
In an effort to attract more Fijians into agriculture, the Ministry of Agriculture will soon implement 5 new initiatives. While making the announcement in Nandi today, Minister Dr. Mahendra Reddy says they are also hoping to bridge the gap between the farmers and the market. Felipe Naikaso has more.
The initiatives announced are set to usher in new outcomes as the programs will have long-lasting impacts on the sector and contribute more effectively towards the ministry's priorities.
We need to address the missing link. The missing link is the link between the farmer and the market. For long we have concentrated and poured in and invested a lot on the supply side, on the production side.
Optimizing the use of Jankawa grass to enhance livestock production, backyard gardening, establishment of fruit tree orchards, upscaling of pulses seed production, and young farmers' business incubation scheme will be rolled out in 4 months' time.
You don't have to be an accountant or engineer. Agriculture businessmen can also be be treated the same as an engineer or teacher. But the difference is that your earnings will be much higher than what you earn in the education sector or engineering profession, etc.
Agriculture will see a new light. Agriculture is fantastic. It will see brighter futures going ahead. The public-private partnership is what we're looking forward to.
These initiatives will also be implemented concurrently with the ministry's existing programs. Felipe Naikaso, FBC News.
Health Minister Dr. Ifiremi Wangai-Nambete says the opening date for the new Bar Hospital will be determined by Healthcare Fiji Limited. Under the Public-Private Partnership Program, the company signed an agreement with the government to develop, equip and operate both the Bar and Lautoka hospitals. Ali Kimbia with the story.
According to the Health Ministry, Healthcare Fiji is currently undertaking their last scope of work at the Bar Hospital, but so far they have given no indication as to when it will open.
I've worked overseas and I can say it looks like one of those private hospitals in one of the places that I worked in. Very beautiful hospital, nice open spaces. The infrastructure is completed and they're going through their due process with a PPP group in terms of how they're going to work.
Wangai-Nambete says the new Bar Hospital will have to be well equipped before it opens to the public.
But we look forward to what will happen over the next intervening months. And as this information becomes clear, we can be able to release it there.
Healthcare Fiji Limited is 80% owned by the Fiji National Provident Fund and 20% owned by Aspen Medical of Australia. Ali Kimbia, FBC News.
Coming up in sports later with Jamie, all the action from the Champions League. But first, Rachel is here now with business.
Thanks, Jackie. Good evening, and coming up after the break, businesses urged to go green. An ingoing Fiji Women Flock Trade Show. Stay with us.
Voila, I am Eleanor. For the best classic hits, I only listen to Gold FM here in Singatoka. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Seni Rawa. I love listening to Gold FM here in Nosuri. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Dino. I'm from Outrigger, Coral Coast, Singatoka. I love listening to Gold FM, only the classic hits.
My name is Salote. I love listening to Gold FM here in Nosuri. Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Bula, my name is Marida. Gold FM plays the best classics here in Outrigger, Singatoka.
Gold FM, only the classic hits.
Leading business, there is a need to issue corporate green bonds in Fiji. Senior financial specialist with the World Bank Group, Aaron Levine, says in the last 2 years, only Fijian Holdings Limited has been issued a corporate green bond. Catherine Krishna reports.
The World Bank Group says more companies need to come forward and support green projects.
Earmarking or promising to use the money for green proceeds, I think that's a great thing for Fiji. It's a country that is at the forefront of the effects of climate change. We saw that with the Category 5 cyclone that passed through and the devastation that it caused. And so, yes, it raises money for Fiji and helps to finance projects that are green.
Levine says green bonds help companies diversify the range of financing options available.
So if a company has a big project where they want to build a new warehouse or build some kind of infrastructure and they need a lot of money and the returns from that won't come for a long time, they can get a long-term loan with a bank, or they could issue a corporate bond and have effectively a long-term loan with investors.
The World Bank Group says to encourage more corporate green bond issuance, they're working with the Reserve Bank to streamline the process.
So making sure that the documents required are really light and simple, contain the information needed to raise the money, and then that it's attractive to the investors so that they actually want to buy it.
Levine says Fiji has a growing economy and capital market, hence corporate companies need to show support towards raising money for government's projects that support climate change mitigation, adaptation and building resilient projects. Catherine Krishna, FBC News.
And Sharon is here now with the very latest from the money markets.
The US dollar slumped against its peers today in the wake of falling US yields. Investors remained cautious ahead of the US Federal Reserve's policy meeting minutes due later in the session. The market will be looking for more detail on just how patient the Fed intends to be with its rate hike plan. Meanwhile, in Australia, data release showed that wages grew at a slightly slower pace in the fourth quarter. However, salary gains at private companies were the highest in 5 years. Aussie trade is still being driven by headlines on trade talks between China and the US, a game in which Australian economy has as much skin as any third party. In Europe, UK Prime Minister Theresa May is going to Brussels to try to minimize the pain of the UK exit from the EU. Among the biggest concern is whether the UK and EU member Ireland can avoid a hard border stop. And that's all from HFC Bank for now. Vinaka.
Thanks, Sharon. On to the exchange rates as it was set this morning. The Fiji dollar gained against the American dollar and the other currencies, but lost some ground against our major trading partners, showing a slight decline against the Aussie and Kiwi dollars. Taking a look at the commodities market, after rising in the recent days, the price of crude oil declined slightly to hold at just under $56 per barrel. Gold rose, gaining more than $18 to close at $1,344 per ounce, and silver rose 25 cents to close at $15.05 an ounce. And in going Fiji tonight, 365 women are participating in the Central Division Craft Show, which opened in Suva, Sakuna Park today. The two-day event is the final of the divisional shows, which have occurred across the country, where a select group is picked to go on to sell their handmade products at the National Women's Expo to be held in June. Maggie Boyle tells us more.
tale. These handmade treasures for many have pride of place in homes and cultural gatherings. For these aspiring businesswomen, the Central Divisional Craft Show accords them a market and the chance to brand their products Fijian-made.
Women, we people, we know how to make things like that. It's our challenge to make things like this. It's the second time for me to come.
I want to show what thing I can make it in Fijian.
Encourage me, it helps the family, then help me working, exercising every day.
For the Ministry of Women, it's a niche market underdeveloped.
Often said that women are the least exploited source of wealth or treasure in the world, and that includes Fiji. We haven't seen the real rise of Fijian women.
Working with the Fiji Arts Council, the craft show also provides a platform for gender balance.
Empowerment of women is not a political battle. It's not an issue about government alone. It's the issue that cuts across all societies.
120 women artisans here will be chosen for the National Women's Expo based on the quality of their products. Maggie Boyle, FBC News.
And that's a wrap from the business desk for tonight. Jamie joins you now with sports.
Thanks and good evening in sports tonight. 2 Fiji Sevens players could be heading to the Glasgow Warriors this year. And bowling Fiji to get its season rolling this weekend. This and more coming up.
Hi, I'm Jyotishma. I'm from Singatoka. I love listening to Mirchi FM. Mirchi FM is hot.
Mirchi FM is #1.
I'm Charlene Robert. Mirchi FM rocks in Lambasa.
I'm Soname Nasori Jackson. Mirchi FM is hot.
My name is Raymond Dutt. I'm in Baba Singh Alliance. Mirchi FM is hot in Lambasa.
I'm Pritika from Jackson Nasori. I love listening to Mirchi FM here in Nasori. Mirchi FM is hot.
Mirchi FM, it's hot.
Fiji Airways men's 7 skipper Kalione Nasoko and forward Mesulame Kunavula have been eyed by a Pro 14 club for next season. Fiji Rugby Union Chief Executive John O'Connor confirms receiving interest from Scotland's Glasgow Warriors. He says the two players are likely to join the club in November for a month's trial before anything is finalised. The FRU is currently in talks with the club's agent. Beauden Barrett remains tight-lipped about his future in New Zealand beyond this year's Rugby World Cup. The All Blacks' first five has rejoined the Hurricanes after an extended break, but he has been given nothing away about whether he'll join the exodus of top players heading overseas when his current contract expires. The Suva Bowling Club will start its 2019 season with the Coca-Cola National Triples Bowls Tournament featuring 14 men's and 8 women's teams this weekend. Organizers say this will be one of its biggest triples competitions in recent years, which is a positive sign for the growth of the sport in Fiji. Meli Tavanga has more.
The National Triples Bowls Tournament kickstart this weekend with the aim to gauge local top bowlers.
Definitely, since our trials for Fiji in Pacific Games and the Asia Pacific is on right now, the selectors and the coach, I think, will use this tournament to gauge the strength of the players.
The tournament will also act as a selection criteria for the Pacific Games in July.
There will be a separate tournament for the women and separate for the men, and they will run, parallel. So both games will be going at the same time, and we hope to get a very good result this year, since I think all our top bowlers will be participating this year.
Newly interim coach, former New Zealand bowling rep Maurice Symes, is being an instrumental mentor for the Suva-based bowlers as they preparing for the weekend.
Doing training and coaching for the squad members and also members of the bowling club so that they can improve their games. The players so far have accepted all my new aspects of the game and theories, and
The tournament runs through Saturday and Sunday at the Silver Bowling Club. Meli Tabanga, FBC Sports.
Organizers of the 2019 Ovaltine Futsal Tournament seem to have found an ideal solution to balance work, family and club sport for its players. With matches scheduled in the evenings from 8 to 11, players are able to spend time at home after work before heading to the courts. Koroi Tandolala with this report.
John says having the tournament in the evening allows players to enjoy themselves at the same time commit to a healthy lifestyle.
As you can see, majority of the teams, they are high-end earning teams, so they finish off around 5 or 6. So there's ample time for them to go have their family time and then come back to indulge in this sport, because we are trying to promote healthy living for all. And so 8 to 11, we think, because it's very good time since they can have their family time and commit to healthy outings like this.
Tournament organizer Ellen Kumar says they registered a record number of 32 teams this year compared to 20 last year.
Futsal is growing, it's really growing compared to previous years. And it's a fast-paced soccer, like short court of normal soccer. And if you see from Suva to Nosori corridor, people are really interested in it. And if you look at the venue, it's really booked, hard to get venue around Suva area. And competition-wise, from last week to this week, we've seen is intensified in you can see bigger and better compared to last year.
The futsal tournament will continue for the next 15 weeks at the National Hockey Centre in Suva. Koroi Tandolala, FBC Sports.
Liverpool's Champions League last 16 tie against Bayern Munich remains finally poised after a goalless draw in the first leg at Anfield. Olympic 800 meters champion Caster Semenya's long gender battle continues, appealing new regulations threatening her future. In today's Play of the Day, former world #1 Tiger Woods putting on a show at the Genesis Open in the USA. Woods made this shot from a greenside bunker to make birdie at the par 3 16th hole. That's it from sports tonight. Angie joins you later on with weather, and in new media, check out a virtual reality dome in Germany. That's right after the break.
मैं नवनीत नंद नंबुआ लुम्बुआ से। जैसे फ्रेंडी नॉर्थ मशहूर है, वैसे रेडियो फीजी 2 भी सभी जगह मशहूर है। रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
सीमा नकाशी से मैं रेडियो फीजी 2 पसंद करती हूँ सुनने के लिए। रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
मैं हूँ अंकल किंग सिंगाटोका टाउन के टैक्सी ड्राइवर। जैसे रग्बी फेमस है, वैसे रेडियो फीजी 2 फेमस है।
रेडियो फीजी 2 देश की धड़कन।
In new media, people using virtual reality wear headsets and the virtual world is shown on a small screen. And it's weather time now with Angie.
Hello there and welcome to the Weather World. Hope you had a super sunny Wednesday. The weather was extremely beautiful, but like the usual trend, showers took over. Checking the west out for today, a ray of sunshine was witnessed, but light showers and clouds got that covered. Eastwards from Pekhawa to Suva, showers and cloudy periods with more showers in store for tonight. And up north, clouds hovering the skies with showers also expected. At sea, it's quite rough as southeast winds will gust 20 to 25 knots. For the tides, low tide at 1:31 a.m. with high tide at 7:47 a.m. Sunrise at 6:02. For tomorrow, how exciting! It's the roll towards the weekend and I know that everyone looks forward to it. So apart from few showers, all will be fine. Tomorrow's temps, Lambasa will be the hottest spot with a high of 33 degrees. Now looking further on to Friday, can't wait because it's so close and the conditions are looking quite easy as well. And that's all from the FBC Weather World. Jackie.
Thanks so much for that, Angie. In Fiji and Pulse tonight, we asked, should police increase border surveillance to curb the drug trade?
It involves everybody. So the drugs involves everybody in the country, especially our children and women nowadays. So I think we have to tighten the security.
Well, yes, there should be to protect the country.
I think it's enough. So we have to. They have to be honest. Only those who are working. They have to be honest what they do.
I think we have to increase the number of police in Fiji so that we have to caught the drug dealers that coming to Fiji now.
I think the government should bring some more practice for drugs to test also. So it's also easy for the officers to catch drugs that
In the world of the weird and the wonderful, two bad-tempered pugs fought with each other in order to decide who would get to keep, out of all things, a toilet brush. Recapping the main stories for tonight, MOG gives Fijian elections thumbs up, specially trained officers for drugs investigation, and names of rogue traders made public. Now for these stories and others, you can tune in daily to our sister radio station Gold FM. To our poll question segment this week, we're asking, do you think an environmental hotline will reduce damages to our environment? Visit our FBC website to answer. Before we go, our shot of the day comes from Singotoka. Mohammed Tanzil captured this at the famous sand dunes. Remember, you can send us newsworthy pictures and videos on email fbcnews@fbc.com.fj or share it with us via Facebook page FBC News. You can also follow and tweet us your news tips at FBC_news or simply hashtag FBC News. That was the FBC News for tonight. From the team and I, good night.
Bula, neva ngo malakai leloma, ngo ngai nakas ondu magrong ng Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere.
Hoya ubasit sai sa Lambasa, ya ondu talita na warong ng Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere.
Gua do tumeli ako na tao no hinga toka, talita kina na warong ng Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere.
Wana tuma ng Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere maluan.
Neva ngo fane na tao ngo singa toka, kita ondu talita ka ng Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere.
Bula FM, nambang 2 na sere.